Hello, wary traveller. You found yourself here because you love fantasy. Wizards and sorcerers, dragons and beholders, barbarians and knights of the realm. Or you just really like D&D. Either way, this is the place for you. This is a podcast all about Dungeons and Dragons. So sit back and relax, because this is the D&D podcast for everyone. For here, we speak common. Hello, and welcome to another episode of We Speak Common. Kind of. This is a bit of a weird one, to be honest, because this is the update. This is what's coming new. If you're brand new to We Speak Common, then let me fill you in. This is a D&D podcast about Dungeons and Dragons, about the rules and the books and the fun and interesting things you can do with them, about character creation, about stories, about storytelling and plots and pacing and how to write good hooks. It's about everything, really, that you can get in D&D, because we really like talking about D&D. That's why we created a podcast. And for the past 2.5 years, it's been myself and one of my best friends, Joe, sitting down every week to just talk about a hobby that we really love. Unfortunately, after those 2.5 years, Joe's moving on. He's going off to fulfill a life goal, and I am so incredibly proud of him. But it does mean that the podcast is going to change. Now, he really graciously sat down with me and said that he was more than happy for me to take the show and evolve it into something new. So, while those past 2.5 years have been incredible and fantastic, and they will remain available on all podcast platforms of choice where you can find We Speak Common for you to listen back to, this is the new beginnings of We Speak Common. Now, I'm going to level with you. I have a full-on document about all of these changes, which you can find in the description of this episode if you want to read through it and see some of the cool stuff and get all of the proper finite detail. But I didn't want to script this. I mean, I kind of thought about it. I thought that it might be good to do that, but I find it much easier to talk naturally, and I think that's why I enjoy making a podcast so much. So I'm going to kind of just go through everything and hope that it stays in a good order and hope that it makes a lot of sense. But if you are left with any questions, hey, don't worry about it. Drop me a message. Check out that document in the description below. And if there's any other things left unsaid, then shoot me a tweet on Twitter. So, We Speak Common. For the past 2 years, and well, 2 and a bit years, it has been kind of just me and Joe. I mean, we've had guests on, and we've had some incredible topics and conversations that we can only attribute to the amazing people that have got in touch with us. But it really has just been me and Joe. So, from now on, We Speak Common includes you. The we is me and you. The best part of the past 2.5 years have been the incredible messages from people who have taken something from what we've said, hearing about how we've helped them out, and talking about their worlds and having a bit of an input on how they could do things, whether they take it or not. That has been so fun, and I have really enjoyed kind of becoming a D&D agony aunt in a way. I really have a lot of fun doing that, so I want to do more of it. So all of these changes to the show are about making that more of the point of this podcast. The best way I can sum it up, my biggest want for this show is to create a community of people who can sit together and talk and chat and share ideas and, you know, tell us stories about their games. So that is the ultimate kind of end goal. And I've got a few things in place to hopefully put that together and facilitate it. So let's start with the actual podcast, the actual show. You're going to find everything you have found in the past 2.5 years if you've been listening. So that is your class builds, your looks at mechanics and rule sets, homebrew rules, looking into new books that come out, whether they're third party or what's the official, all that stuff. There'll be story crafting ideas, story hooks, encounter building, lore, everything, pacing, anything that we have spoken about, we will still be speaking about. But it's going to be broken down into 3 brand new shows. So they include Legends and Lore, which is going to be all about your lore of campaign settings, whether it's Wildmount, Faerun, Dark Sun, Planescape, Spelljammer, any of them, homebrew worlds that you and I might have come up with. We're going to talk all about the lore in our worlds. And the legends in them too. The people. Let's say you've picked up Dragon Heist for the first time and you've never run Jarlaxle or the Xanatha before and you're not really sure who they are or what they're about. We'll talk about those legends and how to take them and use them to their fullest potential, whether you go with the lore that's written for them or completely strip it and change it. Then there's Table Fables. Table Fables is all about our stories, the stories that we're telling in our games. Maybe we've run a campaign and we all know that it's completely different when everybody else runs it, so we're going to talk about that. Maybe it's a homebrew game. Maybe it's a specific session where something really interesting happened. We're going to tell those stories, and then we're going to talk about how we achieved those effects. Whether they went to plan, whether the players did something unexpected, which, let's face it, they probably did, or whether there was anything we would change if it didn't quite go how we want. And we're going to learn from those stories. And then there's Tinkerer's Toolbox. This one's all about your rules and your mechanics, looking into new books that come out and how you could use them, subclasses, races, campaign settings, homebrew rules, UA, all that stuff. Anything that's about the game side, that's going to be in Tinkerer's Toolbox. So 3 shows, all there, with all of the same stuff that you love hearing about, just broken down into 3 different shows. They'll be releasing every Thursday, and it'll be a different show every week, although, we might do a double up sometimes. We'll see how it goes with coming up with ideas. But it just kind of breaks it down a bit easier for me, and hopefully for you, so you know what you're getting right on the doorstep of looking at an episode. There will, of course, still be a title as well that will kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about that week, and whether it's got something special in it, like a giveaway or a look into a brand new book. So that'll all be there too, but hopefully those 3 shows will break down exactly what we've got, so you know what you're getting into as soon as you click on an episode. Speaking of which, listening to episodes, we've got a bit of a change there too, which you might already be aware of. So We Speak Common is available on a lot of different podcasting platforms, and it was previously available on our website too, wespeakcommon.com. That became a bit of a hassle to maintain, and I had some problems with it, so I've changed it. The website that you may have come to know and love, if you frequented it before, doesn't exist anymore. But the domain wespeakcommon.com does. If you follow it, it'll now take you to a lovely big link tree with every single platform that you can find We Speak Common on, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Podbean, whatever. They're all there. And I'll continue to add them if and when we get added to new platforms. I don't know if we will. We might. We'll see. But they'll go on there too. It's also got things like our social media accounts and a few extras, which we'll get into in a minute. Then there's one other place that you can listen, and that is on YouTube. I'm happy to say that after a lot of thinking and a lot of planning, every single episode of We Speak Common from this point on will now be filmed and uploaded to a brand new We Speak Common YouTube channel. As I record this, I think we've got 1 subscriber, and it might be the podcast partner. So when you go over there might only be this video version of this episode. And if you go at a later date, there should be some more stuff for you there too. So every week on a Thursday morning, here in the UK, as it has been for the past 2.5 years, the podcast episode will go up on whatever platform you've been listening to before, and it'll also go up on YouTube, where you can watch the video instead. Now that'll have things like the benefits of visuals. You get to see my lovely bald head reflecting my studio lights. And as we go on, guest videos too. If I have the time, and I'm hoping I will, it's kind of a play it by ear and see how much time all of this takes me when I'm editing. I'll be popping up graphics and things in the videos too. So if you prefer to listen to long form content with a bit of a visual, if it helps you like engage with it more, then that's there for you now. And if you just kind of want a YouTube tab open on your computer so you can listen rather than Spotify or whatever it is that you've been using so far, then it's there for you too. That link is in the link tree right now. So go and subscribe and you can watch your next episode there. And if you're listening to this episode on an audio device or an audio platform, then the imagery for those new shows is on that video. It's also in the description in that file that I mentioned. So, take your pick. You can go and have a look at them there. So that's really exciting. And a little bit daunting. I don't know if we've actually done a proper face reveal before. I know our faces have been up on Twitter and things before, but if you haven't seen what I look like, it's probably not what you've been imagining. I get that a lot. The next thing is also really exciting. It's all really exciting. It's also all very scary. Over the past 2 years, we've had a lot of people asking how they can support the show. And up to this point, it's all been word of mouth. Share us with your friends. Tell us about, people, or tell people about us and get us out there, really. And so many people have done that, and I'm so grateful. So thank you so much for your support. We've got a really cool little audience, a little community that really gets involved, and there are core people who I have regular conversations with. So hello you. Thank you so much. But now, as a purely optional extra, if you want to, you can support the podcast on Patreon, which is really cool. Doing this is tricky, takes up a lot of time, and at the moment I am working ridiculously hard on a lot of other stuff as well. I know, woe is me, but it does mean that it's hard to put all this together, and I'm only adding more to the workload with the filming and things. So if you want to throw some support in, it really does help with that. We do have the support of our lovely partners as well, but this would be a really big extra too. So if you want to do that, you can. Now, of course, with Patreon, you do get rewards. So let's break those down a little bit. Again, if you want a full rundown, having a look on the actual Patreon will give you every single thing you need to know broken down if you're thinking about it. Also in that document below, there's a brief description. So have a look at those. I might miss something. As I said, I really didn't want to script this, but basically, there's a really small pledge level if you've just got a bit of spare change and you want to toss a coin to your podcast provider. Hello. It's literally like £1 a month, and that's just if you feel like you want to chuck some support my way, then you can. You don't get anything for that other than being, in my mind and heart for the rest of forever. But it really does help. Every little helps in every sense. So if you want to do that, that's there. Oh, the computer's gone to sleep. See, learning curve. There are a couple of other levels. So the level above that is, I think it's £5 a month. Of course, if you're in America or in somewhere else where there's a different currency, it'll break it down for you on Patreon. And that is, so it gives you a couple of things. It gives you access to a private community Discord server. And this is the big one I'm really excited about. He says again, every single level, apart from the lowest level, will give you access to this Discord server, but with different benefits. So the server is up and running, and it has a handful of people in it ready to say hello and welcome you in. And it's a place for us all to sit together, chat, share ideas, post topics, get involved with the creation of the podcast, see behind the scenes stuff. Like when I put this set together, I popped a photo in the Discord for people to see. So that's all there. But it's also a place for us to just chill out and help each other. So for example, one of my favourite things about it, of course we've got a number of different text channel rooms for like just chatting, for topic suggestion, that kind of stuff. But we've also got voice rooms. So there's one for just talking to people, but there's also one that I have called the Vibe Zone. The Vibe Zone is my favourite place. Basically, whenever I am doing podcast-related work, whether I'm sitting down editing or writing or looking up stuff for like a lore episode, or if I'm going through rules, or maybe if I'm just doing D&D prep, I'll usually sit in the Vibe room and chuck on some music and just get on with it. And you are more than welcome, as a member of the Discord server, to jump into that chat and chat away to me and listen to the music and vibe, basically, while I'm doing D&D stuff. So if that sounds like a cool little hangout place that you want to be a part of, then you can get to it through the Patreon. You also get, through that level, a guest message. So if you want to do a shout out to someone who you know listens to the show, or maybe you've got something you want to share, like a homebrew rule, or maybe you're working on something that you're going to stick up on DM's Guild and you just want to tell people about it, then you can. You can write a little message and send it to me, or you can record a little message and I will play it out. And we'll work on that together. We'll make sure it's the right kind of length, sounds good, or I'm saying the right kind of things if that's what you want to do. But that's how you can get a little bit of exposure through, hopefully, what I've kind of been building with Joe over the past 2 and a bit years. It's not massive, but every little helps. So that's an option. The next level up is the next tier, and this is a really, really big one for me. All about bringing that we, including you. If you want to jump in on an episode and be a guest and talk about a topic of D&D, then that level's for you. Whether it's a story that you want to tell, maybe it's a topic or a problem you want to discuss and get my opinions on, and then of course all of the listeners' opinions too, or maybe you want to be interviewed as your character in RP. I'm down for that. Let's do it. If you want to guest appear, the second, technically third level up is for you, and we will work together to pick a topic if you haven't got one, or to get around time zones, or audio or filming, all of that kind of stuff. We'll work on all of that. And as someone who has worked in presenting for basically my whole life, I will help you out if you're a little bit camera shy or mic shy, I suppose. So don't worry about that. We'll work together to make it work. If it's something you want to do, the option is there for you. And then there is the biggie. The biggie is probably my favourite and the most daunting. Let's say you're a forever DM, or maybe you've got a group of friends and you all want to play in a party together, but you don't want anyone to run you the game, or you don't have anyone who could run you the game. Well, the highest patron tier is to have me DM a game for you. Now, I am limiting this to one person at a time, because DMing a game takes a lot of time, and I'm running games in my normal life anyway. But it's something I'm really excited about. Playing with new people is one of the best parts of this hobby. So, if you want to go through a pre-written campaign, I own most of them, and I've run a few of them, or you want to go for a homebrew game, maybe you've got an idea for something you want to play, like a fun little bounty hunting story, or a political intrigue adventure, or maybe you've got no idea, you just want to play with your friends, and you want me to make something up for you. I've got you covered. Now, the way it'll work, again, full description and rundown on the Patreon and in the description below. You stay in that level of tier until the campaign is over. If you want it to be a 1-month series of like 4 games, or maybe just a one-off one-shot, that's fine too. And once you're done, you leave that tier subscription, because it's quite pricey, and jump into one of the cheaper ones if you still want to support, or just stay out if you got what you wanted. Again, have a look at the Patreon to get a full rundown, but that's how it's going to work. And I'll make sure I tell people, when it's free for someone else to jump in, because only one person can be in it at a time. So that's the Patreon, and that's going to evolve over time too. It's there. Go and have a look. If you want to jump in, again, purely optional. I don't really want to ask you to go and do it, because that feels a bit weird. But if you want to, and I know some people have asked me if they could before, then it's there for you, and I really appreciate it. What else is there? Gosh. What else have we got? We've done the YouTube, we've done the Patreon, we've done the 3 shows. I think for now, that's it. Again, if I've forgotten anything extra, there's that description file below. But really, the main takeaway is that if you've been enjoying the show for the past 2.5 years, I really hope that what's coming and evolving is going to be your jam. I think it will. I've run it past a lot of people who like the show, a lot of close people who have listened and given me feedback in the past. So stick around for a bit, give it a chance and see what you think. And hey, look, if it's not for you, now that this changes, and it will be different with Joe gone, then it's cool. You were along for a big chunk of the ride, and I really appreciate that. And don't forget, those old episodes are still staying up for you to listen to at any point, whenever you want. A big thing I do want to say is that I'm not set in stone with any of this. If you guys, and a big majority of you, say that you want something new, or you come up with a cool idea and you think this would be really good and everyone agrees, or maybe you think, hey, this would be a really cool tier level on the Patreon, or this would be a really cool thing for you to do with the YouTube channel or the Instagram, then let me know. I'm really open to feedback and direction, because although I'm the one here making this, I really want it to be that kind of community feel. I don't want it to be me just sitting here making something and saying, here's what you got, deal with it. So let me know. If there's something you really want to see or hear, then I'll listen. And if it's something I think I can do justice, then I'll give it a good old go, you know? If I look at it and I think, I'm not talented enough for that, I'll tell you too. Don't worry. For now, I think that's everything, but I'm really excited about this. I'm scared too, believe me, but really, really excited. So stick around, stay in touch, check us out on Twitter @WeSpeakCommon. Get in touch on the email, WeSpeakCommon@hotmail.com, and you can find all those links to everything I've talked about in the description below at WeSpeakCommon.com and with the file below too. For now, I think have a wonderful rest of your day, and there will be the first full brand new episode of Table Fables next week, right here on your platform of choice, whether that's a podcast platform or YouTube. See you later.